Thrawn's return will bring significant challenges and hardships to the galaxy, but when and how will he be defeated? Or could there be another path for Thrawn? The story of Thrawn in Star Wars Legends and also in Star Wars canon are quite a bit different. In Star Wars Legends, not long after the explosion of the second Death Star, Thrawn takes over the Galactic Empire with ambitions of taking over and creating peace in the galaxy in the right way, since Palpatine clearly failed according to Thrawn. In Legends, Thrawn fought many battles and he won many of them. He even went against Luke Skywalker, Leia Organa, Han Solo, and also a rogue Jedi clone who went by the name Sabayoth, who I honestly can say is a very interesting character, but that's besides the point. What is within the point, however, is that Star Wars canon have told Thrawn's story a little bit different, or quite a bit different actually. For those who have seen Star Wars Rebels, Thrawn is eventually defeated by the Rebel Alliance, or more specifically by Ezra Bridger. The conclusion is that Thrawn is sent into deep space with Ezra and never seen again for many years. That is until we see the return of Thrawn and Ezra Bridger in Ahsoka Season 1. And now Thrawn have managed to escape and is on his way to finally conquer the galaxy with his vision of how the Empire should have been, which is a little bit similar to what we saw in Legends. However, he's still not as powerful as he was in Legends, at least from what we know, but that might change entirely once we see what he will do on Dathomir with the Nightsisters and what he's going to do with all of the things that he brought with him when he escaped his captivity. So when it comes to Thrawn in Star Wars canon, that's pretty much all we know. We don't really know anything besides what we've been told and what we see in Ahsoka Season 1. So this leaves me with a few questions, which is, what will Thrawn do from the end of Ahsoka Season 1 and all the way up to Heir to the Empire? Will we see him in other seasons of Ahsoka, or in The Mandalorian, or perhaps a new novel by Timothy Zahn? We don't really know. But what I am more curious about is, how will they treat Thrawn's conclusion? Thrawn is a character who is highly loved in the Star Wars community. And he's not one of those characters that you can introduce to play around with a little bit and then kill him off and just never think about again. There are many characters like that in Star Wars, but Thrawn is definitely not one of them. He's a character who's so well established within Star Wars universe, at least if you have read the Star Wars canon novels of Thrawn, so I think that his conclusion has to be something that leaves a significant impact for the future of the galaxy, or changes the entire direction of Thrawn's story altogether. So with that, I have an optional theory of what could happen with Thrawn at the end of Heir to the Empire. Right now, all of the reports says that there will be some form of Avengers assembly in Star Wars, with all of our favorite Star Wars characters who are either Jedi or no Jedi, or use the Force or don't use the Force. The characters will group up together and eventually go against Thrawn in order to defeat him, which they will obviously do because Disney will always favor the good guys. But being defeated does not mean that one will die. So one option is that they could kill off Thrawn in an epic conclusion by the end of the movie, and when people walk out of the theaters, they'll be like, wow, that was pretty magnificent. This was one of the greatest endings in Star Wars ever. Now that Thrawn is dead, I wonder who will be the next big villain. I mean, that is one direction I can see happening, and honestly, I have no problem with that. It's one of the things that I'm willing to see happen, and I think it's going to be a great discussion piece for the community altogether, and I think it will satisfy the majority of people. However, the alternative would be that Thrawn don't die, and instead, he retreats back to the Chiss Ascendancy. For those who are not aware about Thrawn's history, Thrawn is a Chiss species, and he came from the Chiss Ascendancy, which is far away from the known sectors of the galaxy that we are used to seeing. His story is written really nicely in the canon novels by Timothy Zahn, where his relationship with the Chiss Ascendancy is expressed. By the end of that Thrawn novel trilogy, he is exiled from the Chiss due to some political conflicts, but the underlying and secret result of his exile is that he is sent to investigate the Empire and prevent them from attacking the Chiss Ascendancy. According to lore at least, Thrawn is ultimately dedicated to prevent any danger hitting the Chiss Ascendancy from either the Empire or the New Republic or any form of rebel alliance. However, if the assembly of our leading characters defeat Thrawn in an epic battle, he might realize that the Empire has now been completely destroyed and all of his assets are now gone. He has nowhere to go except for one place, the Chiss Ascendancy. At the end of the movie, he could travel back to his people, and then we can quickly meet up with some of the other Chiss characters that we were introduced to in the novels, or some of the other characters like Eli, who we also got to know, which was arguably Thrawn's only friend according to his journal that Thrawn wrote and gave to Eli before his departure after his exile. Honestly, in my personal opinion, if Thrawn simply dies after a massive grand fight with our heroes, I think his story would not be fully complete. At least based on what we have right now, where we haven't really heard or seen much about the Chiss since we read about them in the Star Wars novels, when Thrawn was a military leader with the Chiss. But it's important to keep in mind that this is a point of view from someone who is a massive fan of Thrawn and have gone through all of the Thrawn material that you can possibly find in Star Wars. For other people, it might make a lot more sense for him to simply die at the end of Heir to the Empire, so it feels like the more traditional outcome of a final movie, where the heroes defeat and removes the enemy from the galaxy altogether. But I personally hope that Thrawn survives, escapes into the Chiss Ascendancy, and after many decades of being away, he is finally accepted back one way or another, or he is trying to find his way to be accepted back to the Chiss Ascendancy so that he can stay once more with those who he has always been the most loyal to. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below about Heir to the Empire and how Thrawn's story will conclude. Will he die or will he survive? And if he survives, what will he do? That is the big question. So, with all that said, remember, the Force is always with you.